people over 35 who haven't lost their virginity yet. What's the story? I took a psychology of love class in college. The professor was 74 and he claimed to still be a virgin. He said he just hasn't found the right person he wanted to be with. Up until a few months ago I'd say too many problems, money, self-esteem, etc. to add a person to it. Also I'm the funny guy, not the flirty one, no clue how to or how to respond to flirts. Now it's because COVID season. I had my chances, but I was too coward to go with it. Always shy, always an introvert. Girls wouldn't give me the time of day in high school, so I just kinda gave up. Older I got, the less important it seemed. I'm 42. I have cancer and hired a prostitute just to lose it. Instead, I cuddled with her. I'm not angry that my life is over soon. Asexuality is my answer too. Definitely thought it was awkwardness and self-esteem and ugliness for a while there, since I was insecure like everyone is at times. And now I realize that most people can pick up when you're not into them, even if you're saying the right things. My angst got a lot easier to manage once I realized that I didn't have to have sex or date, and that I could just live my life. Society really overemphasizes sex. It's kind of crazy. I did as my parents told me, worked in school, and focused on that. Now I have no memories for my youth, have no emotional life, and never held hands. It was one heck of a wasted youth. I'm 36. Good enough to work, not good enough to be a human being. Overcaring religious judgmental elderly mom with the power to emotionally blackmail you into doing whatever she wants and pretends to be the victim when you stand up for yourself only to feel like shit and give in to her will. Spent my youth trying to be perfect in school, as well as the most obedient child. This spiraled me into a deep depression, where I became the fat friend who got along with all the guys, but never to where they wanted to date me. Girls made fun of me for being fat. All of this absolutely made me just stop trying. It always worked out the same way. While I definitely want to lose it and find love and yada yada, I'm independent and can take care of myself. I'm happy in that way that I don't know any different. I was falling asleep on the couch and my wife said she was going to put on a movie she wanted to see that I wouldn't want to, called Brittany Runs a Marathon with Jillian Bell. Well, it pulled me in and I stayed up and alert through the whole thing. Jillian Bell and the writers did an awesome job of making the best friend fat girl turned empowered for all the right reasons. I have 2 toddler daughters and I'm going to fight every chance I can for them to be happy and not get pulled into that bullshit system you girls have to deal with. So basically duck the system. I'm happy you're happy, but don't worry about being fat. Go out there and lose yourself and lose it. I'm so asexual that I've just never been attracted physically or romantically to anyone. I don't get horny. I don't have sexual fantasies. And masturbation has never been worth the effort. I briefly tried dating back in college despite the lack of attraction. And I guess I've had a few opportunities to have sex, but I felt absolutely nothing. And it seemed wrong to fake it. I don't feel like I'm missing out, though. Nothing about sex or dating in general seems remotely enjoyable to me. And now that I'm over 35, my family, friends, acquaintances have finally stopped bothering me about it. 30-year-old women. I identify on the AskReddit sexual scale, so sexual attraction doesn't happen that often. Honestly think sex and virginity are overhyped. Dated and made out with a bunch of people. Had a few crushes in uni but nothing ever happened. Haven't had sexy with anyone but have masturbated a bunch. Penetration hurts. No matter how much I prep, it is ouchy. I'm 43 meters overweight with bad teeth, so I have zero self-esteem. I have had one girlfriend when I was 16 in high school who was only using me to get with my friend. Every girl after has rejected any interest I show. My parents' marriage ended with death and prison time. You can put 2 and 2 together. When I was 4, I was adopted into a Mormon family, so I was brainwashed to save myself for marriage. I have seen way too many of my friends' marriages fail miserably, and I don't want that hurt. I just don't give a duck anymore. If you're not worried about it, kudos to you. I will tell you though that my mom remarried after being widowed in her late 40s. and her new husband is overweight and missing most of his teeth. He says things to her like, "I'm lucky you're attracted to short fat bald men and such." But she said to me that it's not those things that attracted her as much as their ability to communicate was what attracted her. My dad was tall with a full head of hair and teeth when he died, but also a lazy asshole. Not to push you or anything, but if you're enjoyable to be around, that's much more important to plenty of women. So I'm 35 and a half next week, so I guess I can comment on one of these for a change, without getting too much into specific stuff. Basically, it's because I haven't actually tried to lose it. It's a long story, but I have had some issues with my own sexuality. I actually thought I was asexual from my teens until 28, as I didn't have any sexual interest in anyone, and had struggles with mental health. At 28 I had a revelation that I was gay, and I basically immediately bolted to the closet. Looking back at then and before, I will admit that I was obtuse and ignored signs that were blatant right in front of me. In retrospect I think I always knew, even though I didn't, if that makes sense to anyone. So great. Now I'm 28 and in closet and not in denial. Paressy, but not comfortable with it and myself for a few other reasons. So I just sort of ended up in that holding pattern until last year in March, where I had turned 34 a few months prior. I started, out of nowhere, doing some reading and reading some gay self-help books and had an epiphany about it which really pushed me along. Now, as we all know what started to happen in March of 2020 in North America, that kinda put the brakes on anything happening too quickly. In the time between then and now, I've worked on myself a ton and have gotten myself to a much better place mentally, almost more so than I have felt in a very, very long time. I have had a rough pandemic, mentally, but I'm definitely coming out better than I went in. I got a lot of mental health related progress done. Restrictions where I am are starting to loosen. So I'm starting to try to get started on losing it and trying to meet someone at the same time. I think now the obstacle is going to me being comfortable enough with whomever to really open up to them. I think I won't be a 36-year-old virgin at this point, but who knows? It's not something that is important to me, but there are obviously societal complications involved with it. Too long didn't read, didn't know I was gay, stayed closeted for 6 years. COVID happened. I'm really happy that you're learning to accept yourself. I had a pretty similar experience as a youth, denying all my gay sexual feelings and therefore not allowing myself any at all. I just thought I was a non-sexual person. Getting a girlfriend finally made me confront it though, since I couldn't force the physical attraction. Something I think that really helped me was having a lot of gay other LGBTQ friends that showed me how to love being yourself. I recommend you find some people like that if you don't know them already. HFA. And socially awkward, so haven't had much luck. Been trying for a long time to find the right girl. But in my experience, while I've been interested in a lot of girls over the years, the only ones who are ever interested in me are ones I would often be better off having no interest in. That said, I have at least gotten as far as doing just about everything you can do sexually without having sex, which used to drive me nuts when I was younger, but at this point, I'm meh about it. I still hope to find a girl worth the time effort, of course. So I try to remain optimistic about it. But with the few GFs I've had, let's just say I'm kinda glad nothing happened with them, cause while I know there was only a chance, the thought of being stuck with them cause I might have gotten them pregnant shudders. This will most likely be me in just a few years. I'm physically unattractive. Not much I can do about it. And I made the mistake to just do the things I enjoyed for the first 20 years of my life or so. Hanging out with friends, video games, going to the movies. Mostly useless, unimpressive stuff. The worst part about it is the loneliness though. Always just the guy who goes to work, comes home to an empty apartment, meets his friends and their families whenever he can stomach it, goes to work again, rinse repeat until he dies of old age all by himself. Age 39. Never been kissed. Fundamentalist Christian family, but no trauma. Just helicoptering. Taught that sex is bad and girls don't like being hit on. High school was rough. I was on the bottom of the totem pole. Didn't date because girls would have taken too much social damage by associating. Far easier to troll me. Father thought that I was gay, confronted me about why I was a senior and didn't have a prom date. Graduated, thank God. Went to college, finished grad degree. No dates or hookups while enrolled. Turned out I have trust issues and paranoia about others' motives. Dumped religion. Focused on career but struggled. Found out that I have ADHD after losing a job at 35. Moved back home with parents. Took my small savings and started a business of one. I found out that I can close sales. Currently landing contracts with commercial clients. Business now has 4 employees and growing. When I think of jumping into the dating pool, I get battered with the shame and embarrassment of being someone of my age and starting from scratch. Dealing with sales and business stuff is easier because it isn't personal, it's business. Dealing with personal vulnerability is an entirely different matter for me because it tears open old wounds. I grew up introverted and shy, overweight with very low self-esteem, and didn't feel I was good enough to warrant an attraction from anyone. In college I felt better, but once again my self-esteem took a nosedive after a best friend I fell hard for rejected me and slept with my brother, who was a major player for most of his life. We had a huge fight where I gave him a black eye and bloody nose and he gave me a split lip. The fight stopped when I felt all the fight go out of me, as I'd realized it was utterly pointless. I distanced myself from my former friend, and I gave up after that. And now anytime I think about trying to talk to someone I'm attracted to, I get massive anxiety and start to shake, and usually they get creeped out by that. So I throw myself into my art and take solace in the simple pleasures of the single life. I'm doing okay. Haven't met anyone who I really wanted to duck, and my partner is asexual, and I'm beginning to suspect I might be somewhere on that scale too. I think of sex with another person as something that might be nice to try sometime, in the same way that I might think of going to Italy as something nice to try sometime. But the logistics of doing either currently seem like a little more effort than it's worth right now. Lost mine at 36. Now 38, so no longer a virgin. But can explain why until then. Because I wasn't planning on it. I wanted to be ready, you know. Get a proper education. A good stable job. A place to live that's not a dump. Then I actually had something to offer and a future worth sharing with someone. Well, I still have neither of those things. Just struggling to stay afloat. Jumping from gig to gig. I don't have time for a relationship, man. WTF would want a guy that sleeps on a mattress on the floor and spends 90% of his time looking for work on welfare. I'll get around to it when I'm ready. And in case you wonder how it happened, it was another person on welfare. Even worse than myself. Tried to be friendly. She misunderstood my intentions. Did my best not to do anything remotely sexual. After a while she told me straight to my face she wanted sex. So I allowed it to happen because why not? No longer together, as she was kinda crazy. Also I was not ready. It actually gave my anxiety having to also be available for her whenever she wanted, as well as having to deal with my own problems. And boy did she have problems once the can got opened. Was engaged to my first boyfriend after dating 5 years. We were waiting until we were married. Broke up at 20. Haven't been in a relationship since. Will be 50 this year. And so many years later, I like my life and current routine and lack of drama, so I don't want to be in a relationship. And when it comes to sex, I don't miss what I've never had. Created a throwaway account because while I'm cool with my virginal status, people think I'm a freak and I never discuss it. I'm fairly attractive, but I just had no luck with love. I would want a serious relationship, not just a one night stand. Tried to get a partner a few times, but never got past the first few dates. I think the problem is that I'm just too friendly and don't know how to flirt. I really want a partner, but at this point I don't know how I would adapt to not living alone. I might have missed out on the passionate teenage love, but that is alright. I don't see it as a problem that I've never been with anyone, and if that stops potential partners from dating me, that's their problem, not mine. Thanks for watching. Consider subscribing for more videos.